everybody. I'm really happy about this episode we're doing right here with a great new sponsor, eIMMIGRATION, sponsoring the toolbox, the magazine, the podcast, and a lot more. As you know, eIMMIGRATION is software that a lot of most immigrations, frankly, use to handle their immigration cases. It's run by a company, owns a company called Cerenade, and we have the wonderful CEO and founder Phillip Yadidian, who's here today to just give us information and some background on the company, so you're more familiar, because people hear these brand names. But there's human beings behind it, and there's passion and there's care about this. So I really like to bring that up so people see who it is and what mindset is behind it. That's created like a top software. It's rated amongst the best and the best in a lot of categories. Phil, thanks so much for coming on the show. Could you give us a background of where Cerenade, where eIMMIGRATION came? Why the two names, first of all? So that might confuse people. What's the difference
Sure.
Cerenade eIMMIGRATION and where you got into this game?
Well, first, thanks for having us in your podcast. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Before I give you a background about the company in response to your question, so the corporate name is Multimedia Advocates Corporation. And the reason for that is initially when we started the company, the focus was supposed to be in the field of multimedia. Well, this is 30 years ago, multimedia is a huge thing, but people don't want to spend money in multimedia. So we look at, okay, what's the next best thing? Did a little bit of research. And of course, we're also foreigners who have immigrated to this country. The first idea is, okay, automating immigration processes and immigration forms. So that's where things came about. The Cerenade name was, I think I'm going to say maybe 25 years ago, part of a marketing redoing campaign. And it was decided that the name Multimedia Advocates is a little difficult for people to digest or whatever. So they came up with some name that is somewhat sexier. Cerenade is that name.
I see. So what is the difference between eIMMIGRATION and Cerenade? Does Cerenade have other products it gives out other than eIMMIGRATION, or?
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit about the company, and I tell you about the products as well. So we are a technology leader in secure, smart, and intuitive cloud-based solutions. And of course, our mission is to modernize business practices and boost productivity across legal, healthcare, and government. As I said, we were founded about 30 years ago. Now, as it relates to immigration space, our immigration case and practice management solution maintains the largest user base in this space. We also have the highest rating.
Definitely.
Outside immigration space, back to your question, we are also a provider of eForms technology and eForm-centric business process management solutions, mostly to the federal government and some local government.
How did you think that far ahead? Because I remember 25 years ago, the cloud, people didn't even know what the cloud was. This is before Amazon, did whatever that thing they call it, the Amazon special cloud base that they have. Like what, I guess you're one of the first people who started thinking about doing things on the cloud and stuff. I mean, who was thinking about stuff during that time?
Well, 30 years ago, there was no concept of cloud. So
Yeah.
actually, the first product that we had out, and probably most of the old timers in immigration space are familiar with it. Product was a Windows-based immigration case management system. We called it ELA, Electronic Immigration Lawyer's Assistant. And we were the first Windows-based solution there. And the effort behind creating our electronic forms engine and technology was really a byproduct of having that solution.
Hmm. And would you give CDs out, or maybe even floppy disks at the time? Not floppy disk, diskette. How?
Oh yeah, of course. I remember, in addition to immigration, we also used to have and still do in the legal market a product for all judicial cancel forms in state of California. And we wanted to make sure that we can fit all, at that point, 300 forms of judicial cancel of California on a single floppy disk along with the program. Hence, again, the effort behind the eForm technology.
That's really neat. You seeing the one is seeing the technological advancement along with immigration, how people are handling it differently. Like just the customer base, seeing that evolution. It's probably some people stuck with that as long as possible, the Windows format before they're willing to switch off because the technology's hard. But it's a I love learning the history of this stuff. Teach you a lot about what the future is going to be happening too. We know it. But thanks for sharing that. Now, I did see a newsletter that you sent out, and I was really amazed about the reviews and stuff your product has gotten. For example, Capterra, 5 out of 5 rating, G2, highest rating that they have. Capterra, best value, best easy use, and G2 as well, highest performer. How do you feel about that, and how much of a competition is it for you to keep yourself at that level? Because it is a very competitive field. Every day it seems like there's new software groups come in to do this stuff. Also Immigration Memes, Instagram page that talks about immigration law had you as #1 based on their votes, unofficial, but users, they have thousands of people following them, voted. How do you stay competitive in this field? Because it is a competitive field. As you know, we have multiple sponsors. Everyone knows that there's so many companies coming every day. How do you deal with that? What's going on behind the scenes?
I think the most important piece for us, at least, is making sure that we have ongoing R&D investment to a great extent to make sure that we stay ahead of the competition. And then if you have a good product, given your R&D, and you have good customer service, then at least you put yourself in a good position to either maintain your position or make it better.
Interesting. Well, what are some like the top stuff, the products you have that you're most proud of, and it gets the immigration lawyers the happiest that you offer?
Sure. So I think you may have heard this. We refer to our immigration software as the most comprehensive solution in the market. And although this sounds kind of gimmicky or sales pitch, it's reality for us, and there are a lot of features and functions in the product. Obviously, our amount of time in podcast doesn't allow to go over everything, but I'd be happy to go over the differentiators, things that make us special compared to the competition. First and foremost, we provide e-filing support for all USCIS online forms. We're the only one that does that. So about 15, 16 USCIS forms that you can use our solution to e-file. Same for Department of State forms. So we support DS-160, DS-260, DS-156, and we've had that support for multiple years now. And Department of Labor forms, ETA 9035 and ETA 9089. I think when you compare that to the competition in the market, most they don't have e-filing support, and those who do, maybe they support a couple of forms in terms of e-filing. So that's one of the huge differentiators for us. But also another piece that we sort of touched upon earlier, we're the only vendor that has developed its own eForms engine, eForms technology in-house, and it's been a multi-decade endeavor. You can think of us somewhat as an Adobe, which also provides case and practice management solution on top of their eForms technology. So this provides us with a number of advantages. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you about those. First, we do have a robust e-signature support using our technology. Users can use our technology to have their own custom for templates or custom contract templates.
Nice.
And these can be forwarded to clients for signing. Now, these templates can be set up to also auto-populate data from client profile. So it's sort of an all-in-one mechanism for you to automate processes for your organization.
These third-party companies charge $10, $15, $25 just for the signature board. Independent companies that HelloSign or Adobe, even just a lot of people buy Adobe just for the purpose of the e-signature. So I mean, you save that money immediately with that service.
Exactly. And the e-signature support is one of our optional modules. We have 3 pricing plans, and based on your pricing plan, you can decide which optional modules you want to have. So if e-signature is an important piece for you, you're going to choose that as one of the optional modules. Now, another side benefit talking about signatures is that because we have our eForms engine and we support or cater to the government, we also allow you to use PKI digital certificates for signing documents, something that probably nobody else in the legal field has.
What does
Even
that
though,
mean?
so PKI is public key infrastructure, and if you want to have like top of the line, most secure mechanism for signing a document, you're gonna go to a certificate authority and buy a certificate. And that certificate is not just given to you. They basically check they do their due diligence to make sure you are who you say you are. So for authentication purposes,
Yeah,
that basically gives you a much more secure mechanism. So
I
that
see.
mechanism is available for you if you do use PKI signatures as well. But if not, the signing methods that you can use with our solution, you can either hand sign, you can type your signature, or if you have your signature in the form of an image, you can
Yeah,
upload it when you're signing the document.
very good.
So this was the first advantage of our eForms technology. Second one, also very important, we provide robust version control. And what do we mean by that? So as new editions of government forms are introduced, USCIS, Department of State, so on and so forth, vendors have to add them to their system naturally, but they usually, once they do that, access to the old templates are no longer there. So that access becomes an afterthought, and in most cases, it's a pain point for users. In our case, because of our engine, this is not an issue because the engine allows you to go back to multiple years of templates, from the point that actually you signed up for
Yeah,
immigration. You can edit, view, edit, or access forms maybe from 10 years ago or 15 years ago.
yeah.
So that's a huge advantage for people. Sometimes a case may take 3-4 years. Sometimes the attorney may want to actually have access to that form or make changes to it. So that's something that's unique to us.
It's kind of random. Like once a year, there's a random need where you need to find the old version of a form, and you got to like search the internet, ask people for it. And it's like all these random situations that pop up. There's like where you do need to find the old form. It's really bizarre that pops up, especially now where they change the forms every 3 months. It's like it's really confusing the way they do things. So it's a good feature to have.
Yeah. We allow you to also have form defaults. And with this facility, you can add data or comments by default in new forms as they're added to your case. So you don't need to, for example, if you want to have certain fields to have a certain value all the time, you
Yeah.
can actually do that by
Oh,
default. This
interesting.
is aside from data population that we allow from your client profile, so on and so forth.
That's handy. I see need for that. Yeah.
So that's the fourth advantage. The fifth advantage is what you can do is you can, using our technology, you can forward a semi-completed form to your client so your client can actually edit that form itself rather than a questionnaire. Now, our competitors don't do it or can't do it mostly because of cost prohibitive reasons, meaning, if you have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of clients and you're paying royalty to some electronic forms engine company, then it becomes really cost prohibitive to provide
Yeah.
that kind of support. So that what you do is in those cases, our other vendors, they basically provide a questionnaire, which is a different view of the form. In the process, you're introducing potential for errors, errors for cross-population of data from the questionnaire to the form or vice versa. So that is definitely something that a lot of clients are unhappy with.
Hmm.
The last value add for our eForms engine is better security. When you are dealing with the third-party security, in reality, that third party potentially can have access to your data. And of course, with immigration forms, that's a lot of personal data that you don't want anybody to have access to or repurpose. So that's another advantage of the electronic forms engine. Now, going back to our advantages, another feature that we have is ability to import I-94 and travel data from CBP.
Oh, that's nice.
So you don't have to necessarily rekey, or if you want to basically cross-check, make sure the information that your client provided is in sync what CBP has, either on the I-94 end or travel data, and then that's something that.
So how does that work? Like you put in the password number in the system and it pulls off the I-94 itself? Is that without you go to the website?
Yes, so you enter as identifying information for your client, just like you go to CBP site, and it pulls that information, it provides it in a tabular format, and you can actually cross-check with what we have in the system if there is anything, or if you want to match departures and arrivals, so on and so forth, you could do that and then populate your client profile for subsequent use of that data.
That's neat. Yeah. It's really stuff you're saying is like it's obviously you get feedback from the attorneys. It's like really nuanced kind of things that like an immigration lawyer just wants to have to help make their life easier.
Exactly. Pretty much everything that we do in the application is based on customer feedback, because if you come up with functionalities out of a vacuum, more likely than not, they're not going to be welcomed by the immigration attorneys.
There's a famous Steve Jobs has these speeches, and there's one that for some reason it keeps coming up on YouTube and on TikTok when I'm watching it. But this guy gets up and says, "You're doing a terrible job," or stuff like that. He's like, at the end of the day, I have to listen to what people want. I can't have a group of engineers say, "Oh, this product's great." It's like just because the engineers think it's great, it doesn't mean like the people are going to think it's great. You have to really find out what the people want and then do it backwards, as opposed to an engineer creating a product that's great and then trying to get the market to understand it. It doesn't work that way for success, obviously.
Exactly. So the next feature would be, unlike most vendors, we're not dependent on third-party billing solution. And we are not dependent on a single payment gateway provider. So for example, imagine what happens if your firm wishes to use PayPal for credit card processing as opposed to LOP. Or can your system work with this other payment gateway provider and address all trust accounting requirements that go along with it? Issues of operating versus trust account, so on and so forth. How about payment plans or auto debiting, credit cards for payment plans? All those stuff are built into our application. And you can choose. Right now, we support PayPal and LawPay, but it's up to the end user to choose. And the functionality is pretty much the same between the two, transparent to the user.
That's neat, yeah.
Next advantage, so we have a robust, one-of-a-kind reporting engine. So with our reporting engine, you have access to over 1,000 data points in the system. And you can create queries across multiple data sets, whether it's cases, clients, billing, calendaring, questionnaires, so on and so forth. You can generate the reports either on an ad hoc basis, or you can schedule the reports to be emailed to you or your client, or both, on whatever frequency that you decide makes sense for you. You can even create and share custom reports with your client, so they can actually pull data based on their need when they need it. And last but not least, you also have full control over which reports your users have access to and what data points are available to them. So it basically gives you full control over what you provide to your clients.
Wonderful. And you're so kind. We got to know each other. I'm like, what can you do to hook up my listeners? It's something to just, say the toolbox did something to help them out. And you're so kind. You give a huge discount, like $1,000 plus. If you contact the immigration and mention the Immigration Toolbox offer 2023, you guys waive the setup fee, $400, waive the conversion fee for scan and import, $600 savings. and then you get the first month free, which just depends on how many people are coming, and that affects the amounts. But it's really kind of you to have this offer. So if listeners are interested in it, just use the code Immigration Lawyers Toolbox Offer 2023. And you guys do a great job at demos to test it out. I think you provide where people could just test it on their own for a bit of time. But I would strongly recommend doing a demo with a person, talking with a person, so they could fill you in on how to do stuff. It's much better to have a mentor guiding you through the process.
Exactly, and we do both. We provide a webinar-ish or tutorial so they know how to use the system, and then we also provide free access so they can basically try and make sure that it is to their liking.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, just have some tutorial or something to go through. Don't just play around with yourself, because you'll miss a lot of stuff. If they're interested, what's the best way to contact you about it?
So they can contact our 800 number, 800
4202. Yeah.
They can come to our website and fill out a form that says, I'm interested, please tell me more. So they can either go to www.cerenade.com/eImmigration or directly go into eImmigration.com.
Yeah, and Cerenades with the C. You can always email that sales@cerenade.com with the C as well. Philip, thank you so much for coming. We're gonna have a CLE we're doing in a week from now about Iranian immigration. I'm thankful you're like, let's do something in this field, because in this, especially the Iranian cases, because obviously your background, but also the massive headache it is for Iranians to immigrate here. It's a very nuanced topic because they have their own million set of issues they have to deal with. So thanks so much for supporting the CLE and getting this extra educational stuff out to immigration lawyers. It's really helpful. And you've done a lot for the community. You're an integral part of the field of immigration when it comes to practicing law. So probably tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of immigrants have used your services. They don't even know it, but a big population of the United States owes their success to you. And that's a magic thing that you can scale in such a massive way, working through immigration attorneys. Something with a toolbox I was really happy about, because individually I can help clients with my law firm, but if I teach 10 lawyers, that multiplies at scales, because they help more people. And with your software, you're able to help so many people come to freedom, success, business-wise, escape, for asylum purposes, all this kind of stuff. So it's an incredible position to be in the world that we have, and I want to thank you for everything you've done.
It is definitely my pleasure, and in case your Iranian colleagues watch this video, Happy New Year to all of our Iranian colleagues.
Definitely. We're recording this on Persian New Year, happened about 2 hours ago. So we had the family celebrations and got the business immediately afterwards. Happy Nowruz, Happy Nowruz to Piruz. Thank you so much, Phil.
Thank you so much.
I want to say thank you to our listeners, our Toolboxers. Again, just contact, I guess, always go to the website, cerenade.com/immigration to learn more. Until next one, have a good one.
Thank you very much.